Hey everybody on YouTube, how you been? You're looking good. Um, I'm back. It's been a while, and it's kind of the way it is. Been busy, and it seems the bigger gaps in between videos, it's easier to lose a bit of interest. Or one of my big problems was I've amassed a lot of music here in the last year, and only a very small fraction of which I've shown anybody, and it got to the point where I didn't even remember what I've shown. So I went through and filed a bunch of stuff the other day that I've just been sitting on. But I still have a pretty good stack of stuff here that I haven't shown yet. Would like to talk about. Um, Last couple days I've been missing doing this, so here we are. No music in the background today. My loaning out my office receiver to a friend whose receiver is in the shop right now. But since the last time I made a video, I guess a lot has been going on. My band, The Glorious Dead, we have released our debut 7-inch Imperator of the Desiccated. Artwork by the lovely and talented Nate Burns, who, if you are a fan of Bind Rune Recordings, you've more than likely seen some of his work on Panopticon releases and some other stuff here and there. But he's a very busy artist. He's a tattoo artist as well. And this is a 2-song 7-inch. Mangled Cerebration is a studio track where we just kind of set up live in a studio and bashed it out as quick as possible. And Celebrate the Corpse is a live track that we recorded at a club here in town. We got 300 of these, and we're ready to move them. I wish I was a fancy YouTube editor guy and could throw up a clip, but I don't want to take the time to figure that out. But we got 300 copies of this. All of them are, it's like a total random vinyl color. So this one could be red, the next one could be green, the one after that could be pink. It's kind of cool. It gives a little bit of excitement. Which one am I going to get? Collect and match. But yeah, really happy with the way this turned out. And if you would like a copy, head on over to shop.bindrunerecordings.com or the band's Bandcamp page. I think it's We Are the Glorious Dead .bandcamp.com, but I will put the links in the description. But if you want to hear some old styled ancient death metal, that's what we play. We're not reinventing the wheel, but we try to write good songs, and more than happy if you all would check this out. You might like it, you might hate it, you might say, wow, that opinionated asshole, he sucks, he can't even play guitar, blah blah blah. Well, you know what, fair enough. But moving on, I've got today only a stack of vinyl because I didn't want this to be a 2-hour long video. So I'm going to do some vinyl this time, and maybe next time I'll pop out a CD update. But I just want to show you some stuff that I've gotten here, and we'll go from there. This first album, I can't remember if I've shown this or not, probably not, but this is a local-ish type of band. All 3 members of this band, one guy, Chris, lives here in town. He is also the bass player in my band, The Glorious Dead. There's a guy who lives up in Mackinac, another guy lives down in Kalamazoo, but the band is Pan, the Boreal Coast. They're friends of mine, and this is a good band, man. This is a good album. I did the design on this and the layout. More Nate Burns artwork. Where is it? Here. This comes on a gold splatter, metallic gold and black splatter vinyl. The insert, just a lyric sheet. Sorry, the lighting in here is crap. I tried messing around with some lights that I have purchased, but it was just too much light, so I just wanted to throw this together and get it out. But Pan, the Boreal Coast, this is the band's 3rd album, and in my opinion, it is their best. These guys are, how would you classify this? Forest metal. There's death metal, there's black metal influence, there's a heavy Opeth influence in Atmosphere, I would say. Older Opeth. But Pan are on the groovier side of that influence. Definitely avoiding the prog elements. There's not really much prog on here. A little bit. There's some interesting time signatures and whatnot. But this is a really good album. It's really heavy. Chris, he plays guitar and sings. His vocals are really brutal and good. And yeah, I mean, if you would like to check out this album, I will try to remember to put the band's Bandcamp link in my description. And also, I have copies of them through the Beinrune web shop. Definitely check them out. They're a power trio. They play that way live, and they're really good. They're a lot of fun. Definitely, if at the very least, go to Bandcamp, check out what they're doing. This is definitely a good band. They're finally gelling with their sound, and I think they're going to go somewhere. Next up, we have got 2 albums by Horn. Die Kraft der, I don't know, Zanarian? Hell's Headbangers had these a while ago, and after watching some more Horn, I've always liked Horn, but after seeing a couple live performances, I was pretty impressed by the song that was being played and the structure and the uniqueness. So when these popped up in my on Hell's Headbangers, I snapped them up. Only to find out that one of them I already had on CD. But, you know, that's fine. It's cool. God damn it. It's cool to have the vinyl of it. The other one is... I'm not German. Retrograde? And it's on Iron Bonehead. This other one was on Iron Bonehead. Both these are on Iron Bonehead. But Horn is a one-man black metal band from Germany that plays very atmospheric woodland-styled black metal. Unique song structures, unique overall sound, even though he works within the black metal aesthetic. I've liked everything I've gotten from them, and I think I'm still missing an album or 2 in the collection, which I will eventually track down. But if you're into the airy black metal sound, I think you would find some couple really good albums with Horn to check out. Definitely give them a shot. This is, I haven't listened to this much, but this is a very crushing album by the band. Oh man, I cannot remember the name of them. Moynach. This is Dreaming in a Dead Language. Awesome, awesome artwork. I think these guys are on the East Coast. Completely crushing, brutal, fast, twisted black metal. Not like, you know, really culty sounding, but it's very well produced. Absolutely sick drummer. Here's another one I think that is hip, gold metallic black splatter. That is the theme of the day. But very cool. Oop. Moynach. Yeah, I was quite surprised at how overwhelmingly brutal this band is while maintaining a fast-paced, twisted black metal presentation. Very good sound production for the speed and technicality that's going on in some of this material. It is very clear and heavy production. Also, there's a 7-inch that I bought with this as well that is 2 songs and just as good as this full length. But check out that artwork, man. Really, really cool. You know, if you're gonna go just black and white album artwork, you know, it's nice to have that high detail. I mean, the detail's great. It's fantastic. These are a band. These guys are a band to watch. They've got some stuff available on. I think I bought all the albums, all the music that was available on their Bandcamp. But definitely a band to keep an eye on. Check them out. Moynach, I believe is how you say that. I'm going to save these two for last. Next up. Well, this is going to go a lot quicker than I thought. I have been completely enamored by the Norwegian, I think this is a duo, Death Hammer. I picked up, I think it was this one, on a past Hell's Headbangers sale. I got this album for like $5, something really cheap, and was quite blown away at how old school thrash it was. I mean, imagine like Destruction faster, a little more technical, with a more modern production sound, and you've got Death Hammer. And I've got 3 albums. I've got Evil Power, which I think I have shown in the past. This is a crazy color vinyl. I'll show it to you. What the hell? Blue and translucent, yellow, half and half. And this album, I was shocked at how much I was spinning it. Evil Power, over and over. I really love the presentation of it, so I started tracking down other albums by these guys. Phantom Knights, sorry. Very cool artwork. Not a big fan of their logo, although that means jack squat, other than, you know, it kind of looks like a turd with an upside down cross. This is color vinyl as well. These all come with inserts. Is this the same thing? Very cool. Super technical, very well executed, and the energy and aggression in this stuff is really what propels it over the edge. This is Chained to Hell. This cover. Check that guy out. Yeah. Looks like someone's teenage sister may have drawn the artwork for this one, but does not detract from the fact that this is a great album. I'm missing one more. I don't remember the name of it. Anybody has a link to one that doesn't cost $1 million, hit me up, or if you want to do a trade, I'd love to get a copy of that. Death Hammer, Norwegian duo. Definitely check them out. This is a recent acquisition, and one I've had on cassette since it came out, because it came out on Metal Blade. And back in the day, I think a lot of us pre-internet, that's what we did. If you bought something on a record label that you loved, you would go through and buy everything you could find on that album, on that record label, like, you know, whether it was Nuclear Blast or Noise International, which was my personal favorite, which I've made perfectly clear on this channel in the past. Metal Blade, another one. You just go through and buy all that stuff. And at the time, Sacrilege's Within the Prophecy, you know, it was one of those albums that I liked. It was a little bit different. Linda Tam Simpson on vocals. You're young, and during the heyday of this stuff, it was a very much so male-dominated genre. And to be honest, lady singers, I either love them or I hate them. It isn't because it's just the way they how they approach it. It's different. So it takes me a minute to wrap my head around it. I mean, obviously Annika from The Gathering, I absolutely love her vocals. But at the time, her presentation really kind of struck me as different. Not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying it struck me as different. So I didn't maybe listen to this album as much as I would have, what year was this? 87. I mean, I was balls deep in Voivod and Creator and Destruction and Holy Terror and, the thrash, testosterone fueled, crazy speed, super aggressive style. So this, kind of threw me by a loop. I found this record. It's an original pressing. It's a cutout, obviously. But it's got all the inserts, black vinyl, and it sounds great. And putting this on after not hearing it for 20 years. I gotta say, it has matured incredibly well. The earlier Sacrilege material previous to this album had more of a crusty presentation. I would say if you're into like Axe Grinder and stuff like that, I think that's what these guys were kind of into. You can maybe hear a little Bolt Thrower and Bolt Thrower's earlier material, a Sacrilege influence. I think they're all kind of around the same time, but this album, they started moving out of the crust performance and more into a decidedly metal style. Guitar riffs are definitely crunchier. I think you could probably blame bands like Metallica and Slayer for that cross-pollination, to the dominant gene in that cross-pollination to take over eventually on these crustier bands. But Sacrilege, this album to me has really held up pretty well. Like I said, I listened to it. I bought it a couple weeks ago and I had some friends in town here at a local record shop. And I've listened to it twice and I remember the songs. I listened to it enough back when this came out for the songs to stick with me. So that's a positive mark for this album. And for it to still sound relevant for today's standards, I think that's cool. And the first song, Sight of the Wise, is obviously, I see why they put that song first, because it is definitely the most ambitious, aggressive song on here. As the album, like the last song, Search Eternal, it's almost 11 minutes long for 87 in this type of music. That's kind of like their Rime of the Ancient Mariner. And towards the end of the album, things start to get maybe a little bit tired, but I like this, and I'm glad I picked it up. I paid $20 for it. They had another one there, Turnback Trilobite, I believe. It came out after this one, and I've heard it's not as good as this one. So I did not want to invest the money in something that I would probably not be as enamored with. But if you guys have heard Turnback Trilobite, drop a comment and let me know what it is, what you think about it. And I'll go from there. I could probably just check it out on YouTube, but you know how it is with technology and the elderly. It's just not. We just don't. So, sorry about that. I accidentally hit the mouse button as I was shifting a record over and stopped the recording. And since I suck at learning how to edit this crap, it might be 2 separate videos, which that's fine. But as I was about to say, this next album has gotten an insane amount of praise. You would think, if you watched everybody's YouTube videos, that this was the pure return to form. And I'm excited when this band puts out an album. I always am. This band is one of my favorite bands for their contribution over the years and the material they've put out from the early start, where they were a super heavy death metal band, which is where I started with this band. I was thrown for a loop when they turned black metal. Of course, I'm talking about Dark Throne. They turned black metal, which took me a minute to wrap my head around, but once I finally got into that, I appreciated the dark, cold simplicity and Nocturnal Culto's insanely evil vocals. But as the years have gone on, I think Hate Them and Sardonic Wrath were the 2 albums that I can still fully get behind. When The Cult Is Alive hit, and all the albums after that, the shift towards more of a true metal, punky, weird metal type of aesthetic, they lost me. Typically when a new Dark Throne album comes out, I tend to enjoy the Fenris material more than the Culto material, because I have not enjoyed the way Culto's been singing for many years, and he is again one of my favorite vocalists. But let's forget about all that. Well, let's talk about Old Starr. You guys love this album, and I thought Arctic Thunder was a step in a better direction. Dark Throne, the last 3 albums, I've had to like talk myself into buying them because I kind of told myself I was done. Dark Throne are, I'm basically just buying their stuff to fill a place in my collection. I'm not really going back to the. I don't listen to the punky albums that often. When every album comes out, I find myself listening to it a bit, enough to get familiar with it. But once that initial new car smell wears off, they just sit in the collection and collect dust. If I'm going to listen to Dark Throne, it's going to be older material. It's going to be the death metal stuff. It's going to be Hate Them. It's going to be Total Death. But anyway, here we are with the new Dark Throne. You guys love this album, and I can honestly say that I love the artwork for this album. I think the artwork is really cool. I think the overall sound production of it is better. I think they're getting it figured out. It sounds good. And, I like a good handful of the riffs on this album. The problem is, side B is by far the better of the 2 sides. But the problem with this album is the riffs are initially catchy, but so simplistic that they do not warrant being played as many times as they have played them on this album. They've gotten a lot of unwarranted mileage out of the riffs on this album. If they would have added more riffs to it, a little more interesting song structures, I think Old Starr would have been a much more impactful album. As it is, this is another placeholder in my collection. And I'm going to listen to Arctic Thunder more than I listen to this one. Granted, I've only spun this twice. First impression was very disappointed, which is the way it has been going over the years with Dark Throne for me. But, I just need to sit on this for a minute, and I'll come back to it and see if it grows on me anymore. The Hardship of the Scots is the initial single they released for this, and again, I like the riffs, but after they played the riffs 20 or so times, I'm sick of the riffs. I want to change. I want more variety. I want better vocals out of Culto. This is on a 180 gram green vinyl. I can't really see it in this light. It's a dark green vinyl. Again, awesome artwork. I say it every time. I'm going to not buy the next Dark Throne record, but I always end up buying the next Dark Throne record, and I absolutely end up regretting it. And it's a bummer because these guys are obviously very talented. They're highly respected. I still respect them. I don't think this glut of mediocre albums has any way crushed or hindered their legacy. The older albums, the long string of old albums that are high quality greatly outweigh the mediocre ones. But this is a band that has gotten lazy. And, obviously Fenris works. He has a career. I'm assuming Culto works as well. But when they come together, it's like great ideas, but on a bare minimum scale. So when I sat and watched probably 15 videos of people ranting and raving about this album, there's no accounting for taste. And if you love this album, great. Everybody hears things differently. I have to ask myself, is it just because it is the newness of a new Dark Throne record, which is the exciting thing, or is it actually the material on here excited about? I think it's mediocre. I think there's some cool shit. I like the sound. I like the feel, but more interesting structures would definitely benefit Dark Throne in their late Twilight era. Next up, another unpopular opinion coming at you. This is another album that everybody has praised, and there's good reason for it to be praised. I am talking about Nocturna Sadie with Paradox. By all intents and purposes, this is the spiritual and stylistic successor to The Key, which is Nocturnus' debut album. and probably their most classic and talked about and loved album. There is no denying the influential impact that Nocturnists have had with their inclusion of keyboards as a technical element in the building of their songs. The noodly synth stuff is just as vital and important as the guitar riffs in Nocturnus. And on Nocturnus AD's Paradox, they are once again at the forefront, and it sounds great. This sounds like a Nocturnus album, and it's interesting, and it sounds good. But again, to me, the main thing that holds Nocturnus AD back is the main guy, Mike Browning. He's a drummer. He's also the vocalist. And I like his timbre. I like his performance. I like the way his vocals sound. But I do not like the way he places his vocal phrases over the riffs. You know, being the drummer, he's busy. I get that. But his vocal lines completely mirror the guitar riffs verbatim, which, man, I get it from a playing and recording, playing an instrument and singing at the same time. Your brain tends to follow those guitar riffs. But it gets old. And it gets tired, and this was tired when they started doing it. I do like the key. I like the stuff he put out after Thresholds. I just recently picked up Thresholds, which I will show at some point. I like it, but I don't love it. And this again, I like this, but I don't love this. I've only listened to it twice. The vocals bug me. And I think he needs to either step away from the drum kit, because he's a good drummer, but he's not a great drummer. He needs to step away from the drum kit, focus on his vocals and what he does with his vocals. I think he has a very unique sound that makes this band what it is. But again, I've already made my comments over and over and over at this point because I can't lock it down. But if he were to get a good drummer, I think a more technically advanced drum performance and a more passionate busier vocal delivery would perfectly match this. As it is, to me, Paradox, check out this art. It's so cool. Absolutely killer artwork. There's the band. I think it's all new lineup other than Mike Browning, which is right there. I got the black vinyl, so there's nothing. I'm not going to pull that stuff out. I mean, this is a good album. I definitely need to spend more time with it. Again, if I spin this 10 more times, I'll probably like, this is great. What was I thinking? But as it is, this is okay. I kind of wish I bought it on CD instead of vinyl, but here we are. Here it is. Yeah, again, people are shitting their pants over this, and I always have to, when I see such overwhelming positivity for bands, for albums like Old Starr and Paradox, I gotta ask myself, is it me? Am I the problem? Or is it just people are so excited to have this that they tend to gloss over what I see are glaring issues with both albums. But yeah, anyway, that's it. I could just continue digging stuff out of the pile here, but I am going to wait. I'm going to see how this, if I can get these two videos spiced together. If not, we'll just put out a part 2. And thanks a lot for being patient with me, guys. Sorry I haven't been around. It's the way it goes. I'm going to try to be more ambitious, but every time I say that, it doesn't seem to work out. So I'll see you when I see you. I've been enjoying all the comments. If you see something you like it. If you have something you want to say, throw it in there. I try to answer everything. But until next time, I hope you're all good. Take care. Be safe.